Hello guys, my name is Darshan Senthil and today I'm just going to be doing this video for you about notation. Now chess notation is something that is really important for everybody to know, because this is kind of like your work in math. Like for instance, if you were doing like a long problem and you got it wrong and you wanted to see how you got it wrong, you would look at your work and just see where you went wrong, and then from there you'd go to see, and then you'd probably make assumptions based on what you got wrong, like, oh, I can't do long division or something like that, and then you would work on that particular thing. The same thing with chess notation. You're using this to sort of analyze your games. This is like the sort of code for chess, for writing moves and stuff. So you can use this to sort of document your game, and then later on go back and sort of analyze it with a coach or a computer or anybody. So this is something that is very important. So it's like working in math, like showing your work in math. It's annoying sometimes, but it goes a long way in the long run. So that's how that works. But before we go on to writing stuff, let me just show you how to identify squares on the chessboard. So if you notice here, you've got these letters and numbers on the side here. Now what are these for? But first let me just give you the other thing. Like, now if I gave you a graph like this with like 1 2 3 and 1 2 3, and I asked you to name this point for me here, what would you say it was? Well, you would say it was, let me do that different color. You'd say it was like, it was 1 across and 2 up, so that would be 1 2, right? It's the same thing here with chess. These letters here are called your files. Let me just write that down there. Files are like your letters, and they represent your x-axis. Let's just write that down. They represent your x-axis. Sorry, my pen's dragging slightly. So that's what those are. These letters here represent like the x-axis of your square here. This is just like graphing, like finding out a square here is just like graphing, as you will find out now. Now what are the numbers for? Well, what's the other part of the coordinate? Your y-axis. So these here are called your ranks. These numbers are called your ranks. Ranks, numbers. And that's called your y-axis. It's like your y-axis in math. So these ranks and these files together help you sort of pinpoint squares on the chessboard. So just like you would find a coordinate on a graph, it's really the same thing here in chess, in the chessboard. So if I were to ask you to name like this square here, you just find like the xy, like same thing, just like 1 2, this would be xy. And what's your x-axis here? Your file, which is f. And what's your rank or your y-axis? 7. So that would be f7. As simple as that. So let's just write that there. I'm just do this like in different colors. So it would be f, because that's the file, and 7 because that's the rank. This is how you would write notation for pieces. This thing here, f7, that's file and rank. So if you want to like take a screenshot of these notes here, you can do that, and it would be useful. But this is again like the sort of thing that just comes by experience. You will have to definitely memorize this, but it'll come by experience. If you like keep writing, you will eventually get this. And okay, now let me just show you how to write like piece notation and stuff like that. Okay, so now we've just got all the pieces on the board here. Now let's just talk about how we would write notation for these pieces. It's actually simpler. It's really simple actually. So for writing a move for a piece, we would just write the piece, just the piece name, whatever. I'm just gonna write pn, piece name. Then let's just do this in a different color and make that thinner. rank. Sorry, wait, it's file. Beg your pardon. Pn file, and then we have rank. So pn file rank, and now let me just tell you how you would write the names of all these pieces. So let's just start from here. For the pawn, actually you do not need to write anything for the pawn. For the pawn, it's just like a square move, just like write the square. Like for pawn, this is not necessary for pawns, but only for pawns. So this is necessary for all other pieces. Just for pawns, you would not need to write this particular thing. It would just be file and rank would be enough. So for instance, if I were to move this pawn, if I were to move him, let's change that. Yeah, for instance, if I were to move this pawn to f up here, you would just write f6. You would not say pf6. You would just say f6. That's how it is. And yeah, that's how you would state a pawn move. Just the square. You do not need a pn. So let's just erase that thing. So let's just sort of summarize this. So let's put this in a little sort of chart form. So let's put the pn back there, and let's just start off with pawn. So pawn square only. I'm just going to put sq only, square only. So that's how you would write for pawns, and I'll tell you how to write the capturing for pawns later, because it may be slightly confusing. So you just write square only. Now let's move across even further. Now what about the king? Now the king is simply k. King is equal to k. That's it. So if I were to, let's say, if I were to move my king to up here, it would simply be king. Well, what's wrong? King, then king e6. Yep, it would just simply be king e6. So k is your piece name, your file is e, and your rank is 6. So it's as simple as k. So the piece names for king is just k. Maybe I should just write that here. So these are your piece names here. All these are here are your piece names, just so you know. So king is k. Then let's just keep this color. Let's go on further down left. We have the knight, but even knight starts with the letter k, and k is taken by the king. So for knight, we would simply write n. Let's just whoopsies. N goes after. So let's just write knight. So for knight, we would simply write n, as in, just remember the other night, which is dark when it's all dark and when you go to sleep, hopefully. That's n. It's that n from the other knight, not the knight who runs in and rescues the princess, or the knight we use in chess. So for the piece notation in chess, it just starts with n. Where did my cursor go? Whoopsies. Oh, there you are. Okay. Then moving on, let's do this in purple. So this is your rook. So rook is simply, you guessed it. Any guesses? And R. It's R. As simple as that. And you can probably guess what's going to come for the next two. So I'm just going to go over them real quick. So bishop is, forgive me for my bad handwriting, I'm not known for being very good at my handwriting, and bishop is just simply B. And last but not least, queen is simply, any guesses? Queen is simply, best you can guess it, Q. That's it. So these are your piece names, and just like here, you would just, this is the sort of thing you need to know for writing it down. And So you just plug in any one of these things here, any one of these sort of like coefficients to say in math terms. Just plug in any one of these up here, and then you would plug in your square number, your square notation for these two things here. You plug in your file and your rank. So for instance, this queen here is on A5, so we would write queen A5. That's how that would work. Now let's just talk a little bit on how we'd write moves and captures and a couple of other stuff. I'm just going to talk about that right now, so here we go. Okay, so there are two ways you can write games, and I'm just going to go over both of them. Now the first way is the easier way in my opinion, and the more neat way, and that is using the table sort of format. You have like a sort of line like this, you don't need this thing, and you have W and P, white, black, and you would just list the moves as they go along with this, and say D4, D5, C4, DC4, E3, Queen D7, whatever, Bishop C4, whatever. That's what you would write. What was it? D4, D5, C. Oh, wait. If we played that, we would just write all that in this sort of table, like C4, D into C4, Queen D7, and Bishop into C4. Oh wait, sorry, I missed that. It's Queen D7 over here and Bishop C4 over there. E3, Queen D7, Bishop into C4. This is the thing that you will often get in like tournaments and stuff. Like they might give you like this little sheet of paper with this sort of table given to you already, and this is just what you would have to write. Of course, there is also another way that's better suited for like. There's also another way here, which I'm just going to show you, and that is like paragraph form. Like you would just simply write, like for the same thing that we played here, you would simply write like first the move number. This is very important in this particular format because it like forms distinction between the moves, and that would be like E4, first white's move, then black's move, and then again 2. What's C4? D into C4, then 3, and what's it? Where are we? D3, E3, and Queen D7. This is how you would write this in paragraph form. This can go on like forever, and it'll keep going on like this. And the reason people use this is because it's better suited. I think people use this more often like on like the web. Like if you go to like chess websites and they're talking about games, they'll often write it in this format because it's just easier to sort of format this when you're like typing it rather than have it like in a table, because tables are hard to format when you're just like writing comments on websites. So that's how you would write this. And now also in this you sort of start to see why people don't write, why this sort of form is more popular than like E2 to E4. This is why you see that this is the more popular thing, because this would just be too long to fit in this sort of paragraph form, and it would cause like a lot of space. Like that's why they do that. Oh wait, so it's just D4 and D5. So yeah, if we were supposed to write the solution to a problem, like I said before, we'd start off with the position. So WP, irrespective of what. I'm just gonna do it in chart format. So what's white's was queen, what, D2, king A6, rook D1, and black is king C6 and queen B8. Now the interesting thing about this position is that both sides can actually win here within the space of one move. So I'm just gonna play. Now supposing you're doing this as a white to play and win, then your answer would simply be like, it doesn't matter, let's just say rook C1 would be checkmate. He cannot move. Notice that he cannot move along this file because of the queen, and he cannot move along this file because of the rook, and the queen, this is supported by the king. So he's kind of stuck, and this is checkmate from here. So if you were to write this as your answer, you would just like put an A here to make it clear that this is your answer, and rook c1 checkmate. So now this is pretty clear that you're starting your moves from here, and you know that this is your right move, checkmate, and then you just write 1-0 wherever you like. You can put it over here, and or you can put it at the top of your page, doesn't matter. That's how you do that. Now what would happen if it was black to play and win? And of course we know that this particular position, that's very much possible as well. So what would you do if it was black's move and it was black to play and win? It's actually the same thing, except you'd have to add this one little other touch, and that is you would have to make sure you skipped white's move. So you would just put 3 dots in white's column and you'd start in black's column, which would be queen to a8 checkmate. So you just write queen a8 checkmate. And these dots are very important here because without them you would not know whether it was white's move or black's move. So these 3 dots give a clear indication that you're skipping white's move and you're going on to play black's move. And then you just put the 0-1 somewhere. The same thing in paragraph form would apply as well. So if you were to play like, if this was like this, say the 75th move, 75, then you'd put 3 dots to show that you're skipping black's move and queen a8 checkmate. Same thing. That's how you would write this. So yep, I hope you've had fun watching this chess notations video. I know it's one of my longer videos because yeah, I just tend to talk a lot, especially and I tend to expatiate a bit when I'm talking about this, and but still I hope you found this informative, and I hope this helps you like write moves and improve your game somehow in an indirect way when you're going to play tournaments, or even when you're just playing informally. If you just know how to write it down and you felt serious that you wanted to improve, and that would help you a lot. So thank you for watching, and please subscribe if you haven't already, and visit my website iplgeek.com. It's a cricket website. I don't talk chess there very much, but just pay a visit nonetheless. It's an interesting site that I've got there. So yep, see you next time.